The recipes, views, and opinions expressed in this channel are solely those of the speaker. They do not reflect, collaborate, or substitute the views and opinions of a medical health professional. Please consult a professional with any dietary concerns and inquiries prior to trying the recipes. Welcome to the channel.
I'm cooking in Namia. I'm cooking in Namia.
Hey guys, thank you for clicking on this video to get my Korean Japchae with a twist recipe. If you are new to this channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. The goal of this channel is to provide you with foods that are nutritious and satisfying without breaking your calorie banks or sacrificing on flavor. For this recipe, we are going to go across the pond all the way to Korea. Now, the foundation for this recipe is based off the original Japchae recipe, Korean Japchae recipe. This recipe is high in protein, vitamin A's and C's, and potassium. Now, the downside to this recipe is that it has a high starch component. They usually use a sweet potato noodle. I am going to be substituting it for a rice noodle that is somewhat better, still starchy, but it's gluten-free, if that helps. And the noodle that I am using is actually laced with moringa. Go ahead and Google moringa so that you can find out the health benefits as to why I am using it in this recipe. The other thing that I am substituting in this recipe is the soy sauce. If you all know, soy sauce is high in sodium. I do not like things that are diety, and I do not like the diet or the light soy sauce. So I went ahead and substituted it for coconut amino acid, and I use a very specific coconut amino acid. You can find it here. I love the taste of this coconut amino acid. It does come with a sugar component, and because Japchae does call for sugar to be added to it, I kind of cut the amount of sugar that's actually going to be used in this recipe. However, it does come out just the same, or at least closely the same to the original recipe. So that's enough talking. Let's jump into the recipe, and please stay tuned for the old wisdom spice. So to start us off, we are going to be mixing the sauce that is needed for this recipe. In this recipe, we'll be using the coconut amino seasoning sauce. We will be adding some honey to that. We'll also be adding some sesame oil. And then we'll also be adding some sesame seeds. In addition, we will be putting in some ginger, some garlic powder, and some salt, as well as some habanero powder. Now, habanero is optional. You don't have to add it, but because I like my food hot, I do plug in habanero everywhere I put it. Now go ahead and mix that well and set that aside because we will be using that later. And then as an added bonus that actually garnishes the dish, we are going to be grinding some cashews. So go ahead and crumble some cashews and set that aside. Next, we will be needing our vegetables, which is predominantly what we will be using in this recipe. So to start us off, we will be slicing some celery, and then we'll be needing some bell pepper. It doesn't matter what kind of bell pepper. I opt to technically use the orange or yellow bell pepper just to give it some color. So go ahead and slice those, as well as slicing some onions. And we're going to be either peeling or shredding. I don't know how to call it, but either way, go ahead and shred some carrots. Then go ahead and grab a large pot, and into this pot we're going to be adding about 4 to 5 liters of water. And we're going to place that on the stove, and we are going to be heating that on high. Add about 2 heaping spoons of salt to it. Then go ahead and grab a mixing bowl, and into that mixing bowl we're going to be putting some ice and cold water, and we're going to set that aside. So once our water has boiled, we're going to be adding about 10 cups of spinach. And what you're doing is basically putting the spinach into this hot boiling water for about a minute. So you're kind of blanching it, not blanching it, but withering it out until you can kind of see it to be a bit bright green. And then you're going to strain that spinach out and put it into the ice bath that we had just set aside. And this helps with stopping the cooking process. While that is sitting there so that it can cool down to an ice level, we're going to turn off our heat. And once the spinach has cooled off, we're going to squeeze all the water out of the spinach and set that aside. So while that is going, we're going to go ahead and jump into the old spice for today. So let's talk about the old spice for today, which is our sesame seed and sesame seed oil. Now, sesame seed, or the plant itself, where it originates from is really not clear. They say that it comes from Asia or East Africa, but it's really not been finite as to its origin. However, archaeologically, when they were doing some excavating, they found that it had been actually domesticated in the Indian subcontinent about 5,500 years ago. That's super old. The seed was also used in China around that 5,000 year mark as well. And they usually would burn the oil to make the soot that they used to make fine Chinese ink blocks. So this is how they were made. If you've ever watched any historical, like Korean soap opera type thing, you will see them kind of doing this mixing motion. And pretty much that black soot is what they would actually use to do their writings with. It was also used by ancient Egyptians, and they used to pretty much kind of grind the seeds into a flour. It was during this archaeological discovery thing, they found that it was actually used as a trading component between Mesopotamia and the Indian subcontinent, and that was about 2000 BC when this was taking place. It was known to have been found during the Sumerian times, and it was known as Ilu is the name of how it was called during that time. The Egyptians called it Semet, and it was included in like medicinal drugs, and it was found to have actually been documented in the papyrus. Why papyrus? The papyrus that they actually used to use to kind of record history. So it was actually found there about 3,600 years ago. They also do speak of the process of extracting the oil, and that was something that was also done around 2,750 years ago. There's a lot of history around this specific ingredient. As far as the East African origins are concerned with it, it is believed to have come from Ethiopia, but nothing has been really concretely said that it comes from there. Now, the sesame seed is actually a very magical plant because it grows in areas that do not support the growth of other crops. So it grows in like drought conditions and extreme heat areas, and it usually relies on moisture that has been left during monsoon seasons, or when the rain had fallen way past. So it kind of holds on to that water and actually does very, very well in areas, in desert areas in terms of growth. It's known as a survivor crop, so it's one of those resilient things. As we talk about on this channel, anything that's old has been tested and proven and is true. So every time I'm talking about an ingredient, just know it's because of its age and its benefits, and that's why it has lasted this long. Now, sesame seed is used in so many components, like condiments or edible oils. You will see it on hamburger buns. You will see it sprinkled on like Asian dishes. Crackers have them, sweets have them, especially if you're getting them from like South Asia or the Middle East or the Mediterranean. And even Caribbean cuisine does actually use sesame seeds. Medically, it is known to help to lower blood pressure, health, and actually promote healthy bones. It actually contains calcium, magnesium, manganese, and zinc in it. Very good nutrients to be having. It is also known to reduce inflammation. It is a very good source of the B vitamins like thiamine, niacin, and vitamin B6. Now, do not sleep on the B vitamins because they are very essential in the body processes. So it is a very essential nutrient when it comes to like having proper cells, having proper cells function in the body, including metabolism. I don't know why I wanted to say cannibalism. That's really weird. But your metabolic rate is driven by the B vitamins. It is very good at blood cell formation because it contains iron, copper, and also vitamin B6, which are very essential components for hemoglobin, which is actually used to carry oxygen in your red blood. I did not know. I was going to give you a medical class today, but there you go. You now know. In order to extract these nutrients, you can either soak these seeds or roast them or let them sprout, and that way you will be able to like have a better absorption of these minerals that I am talking about. It is also known to aid blood sugar control and arthritis because it's very rich in antioxidants. It's also very great for immune system, so it promotes and supports your immune system and also balances your hormones. So ladies, if you are getting to that menopausal state, you might want to put this in your Rolodex. Do they still make Rolodex? Or did I just age myself? I think I just aged myself. Oh well. The one thing that sesame oil or even the seeds is used for is tahini. Tahini is predominantly made of sesame seeds. You basically would be grinding the sesame seeds into a very smooth paste, and then you can use raw sesame seeds or you can use roasted sesame seeds. It's all about the flavoring thing. One of my favorite dipping sauces is hummus. So hummus with tahini works for me really good. It's used in dressings, it's used in soft serves, snack bites, stuffed dates, so many dishes. This is like a very versatile seed and oil to be using. Now, it would not be fair for me to be giving you all the benefits without giving you the cons of actually having the seeds. And this is just a warning for those people who have allergic reactions to things. So sadly, for some people, sesame seed and the oil can cause allergic reaction, and the reaction can range into anywhere from mild sensitivities all the way to a severe allergy. So severe allergies like anaphylaxis, which is life-threatening situations, can actually take place. So I highly ask that you be cautious and wise when using the seeds or even the oil, and as always, consult a medical professional before you are actually using anything. So with that, let us return to our japchae. So now that your spinach has completely cooled down, we're going to start the cooking process. So grab your frying pan and place it on your stove, and we're going to turn our heat on to medium. Now we're going to be using safflower oil. There's a reason I use certain oils, and we'll be talking about safflower sometime down the road. Stay tuned for that. But safflower oil is a good substitute and a very good frying component. It's very light and it has a very high heat point to it. So grab some safflower oil, not that much. And we're going to start off our vegetables specifically because of either how hard or how soft the vegetable is. So the first thing we're frying is our celery. Then we're going to put that aside into a skillet. I usually use my good old Dutch oven. So if you're Dutch oven fans, I always use a good cast iron Dutch oven here with the normal coating, of course. The next thing we're going to be doing is the bell peppers, and set that aside. Then we're going to do the onions, set that aside. Do the carrots, and set that aside. And then last but not least is our spinach. And I use spinach last because, as you can see, it will clean up your pan real good and actually absorb all the ingredients for the vegetables, all the flavors, not ingredients, all the flavors of the vegetables that you just went through. Now go ahead and turn off the heat with that. And we're going to go ahead and boil our water back up. So I reuse the same oil that I used for the spinach, just to make sure that I'm adding some more nutrients into the noodles that we are about to boil. So once that water that you left has boiled up, go ahead and add your rice noodles, and you're going to go ahead and boil that until it actually reaches your desired softness. So if you want it al dente, you want it super loose, I would leave it to be a bit firm because of the mixing process that we are about to go through here. So once it has boiled and reached your desired softness and taste, go ahead and strain out the noodles, and we're going to put that into a mixing bowl. Then we're going to go ahead and put on some gloves because we're going to be using our hands to do this mixing motion. Mind you, the noodles are hot, so be ready to do some hot dance while you are mixing this dish. So go ahead and grab the seasoning, the sauce that we had made earlier, and we're going to put about half of that into the noodles and mix it in very well. You can also use tongs to make this mix. It's really up to you, but I like to use my fingers. And then we're going to go ahead and put the noodles into the veggie mixes that we were doing. And with our gloved hands, we're going to go ahead and carefully mix that. And add the rest of our sauce into it. Mix that as greatly as you can. And then sprinkle the cashews that we had crumbled. Of course, you're going to be tasting this for seasoning. Make sure that it has the desired seasoning. And you have your japchae. You can serve it hot or you can serve it cold. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my Korean japchae with a twist. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified when I post new recipes on YouTube. Please be sure to sign up on my website, cookingwithnamia.com, to get full recipe details. You can also purchase this downloadable recipe on my website, along with any other of my favorite recipes on my channel. Your support will keep these recipes coming and is greatly appreciated. See you on the next video.